In this video, we're going to go over the top 10 worst neighborhoods in Seattle, Washington. So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? This is Jackson Bray Wilkey with the Real Agent Now Group right here in Seattle, Washington. If this is your first time to this channel, you want to learn everything about working, eating, sleeping, living, and playing right here in Seattle, Washington, then start now by subscribing to this channel. Tap that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And honestly, people, we are getting so many phone calls, emails, and text messages from people moving and relocating here, and we absolutely love it. If you're even thinking about moving or relocating to Seattle, Washington, make sure you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even send the Seahawk, baby. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Seattle, Washington. All right, so we are getting so many calls and, people relocating here, and they're always asking us, like, which areas to avoid. Are there so many homeless people in Seattle? Where are they at? Yes, unfortunately, the Northwest is just kind of a thing up here. There's a lot of homeless. It's pretty moderate, climate. Even though it does rain, it just doesn't freeze and snow, and you'll see a lot of the homeless, and where they're going to be is tucked close to the freeways. Obviously, I-5 is probably one of the main ones. You do see them in downtown Seattle, so also green spaces. They'll be, camped out there, but just be mindful when you're looking. Any neighborhood that's really tucked tight to I-5, you're probably going to see them a little bit more. So I just kind of put together 10 of the worst neighborhoods in Seattle, Washington. And the criteria to that is basically, the home values don't really go up. The median income, isn't that high, and obviously, higher crime rates. Now, I do want to just kind of preface this with, look, Seattle, ranked nationally, is not a dangerous place. I mean, it is literally half of, the ranking of Chicago. So when you look at a national basis, a lot of these neighborhoods compared to some other places are a walk in the park. But there are some areas you want to avoid. And I'm going to dive into those 10 areas. You're going to see a couple, hot spots on the map. And I will bring up the map along with this so you can get a visual of where these areas are. But you'll see a couple commonalities as well as one up north. So with that, we're going to jump right into it. Number 10 on the list is in one of the first pockets or hotspots, and that's the Bryn Mawr Skyway, and that is down south of Seattle. What you're going to see is basically 9 out of 10 of these neighborhoods are going to be down south of Seattle. Now, the Bryn Mawr Skyway is down south. It's south of Lake Washington. It's an area that about 5 years ago you just didn't even really want to be in, and now it's starting to clean up. You'll see that a lot with some of these, but the Bryn Mawr Skyway is number 10 on the list. So number nine on the list is Tukwila, and that is down just to the southwest of the Bryn Mawr Skyway. So it's actually right next to the SeaTac Airport. You're just east of I-5. And this is another area that, again, is gentrifying. You do have the light rail system down there because, the airport's right there. But you do have to put up with the noise and the traffic and all the people of the airport. So that is kind of an area that you may want to avoid. But it is also an area that's starting to gentrify as well and clean up. All right, so the farthest south we're going to go on this is number 8, and that is Renton. Renton is now southeast of the Bryn Mawr Skyway and south of Lake Washington. And yeah, it's just definitely another area that's got some sketchy areas to it. You got to kind of watch out in some areas, but again, gentrifying. I keep saying that word because we're seeing it. Seattle's a place where so many people are moving and relocating to. What you actually see is families, that are kind of getting priced out or don't want to live downtown anymore. They're starting to move south, and you do see a lot of young professionals in these areas because they can afford homes down there. So you're starting to see more restaurants and shops open up, and you're starting to see it clean up a little bit. But Renton definitely hits as number 8 on the list. All right, so number 7 on the list. I won't take too much time on this because it's right in that hot spot again, but Rainier Beach. Literally, if you see it, that's the first pocket I'm talking about. All those neighborhoods right there, you're going to be able to find a little bit of more affordable homes. And they're starting to clean up, so there's potential there. But if you want to get to an area that's instantly safe and great, you might want to avoid that pocket. So number 6 on the list, this is the only outlier. Now this is north of Seattle, and it's actually north of Green Lake, which Green Lake's definitely one of the most popular areas and getting pricey, but it's very, very gorgeous, and it's called Northgate. So Northgate is up above Green Lake, and the one thing you do need to know about Northgate, again, it's cleaning up because the light rail is going to head up that way. So whenever that light rail goes up, it's going to drive up the home prices, and it's going to start cleaning up, gentrifying. So Northgate's an area right now that's a little bit sketchy, but like I said, cleaning up. And it is also north of 85th Street. I talked about that in another video. Basically, north of 85th, when you go above Seattle, you're not going to have sidewalks. So if you have the families and you like those sidewalks, you're not going to see them up north of 85th. All right, so now we're going to talk about the next hotspot pocket, and it is just to the northwest of the last one we talked about. But the first one, number 5 on the list, and actually we'll do number 4 as well. Number 5 and 4 is North Delridge and South Delridge. It's one area right there, and now we're talking that we're just below West Seattle. West Seattle, as many people know, is a top destination. It's got Wilkey Beach, the junction blocks. It's a really great area, but that was an old industrial part of town years ago, and so anytime you see a lot of that industrial area, you'll see homeless and bums, and the Delridge area just south of West Seattle is an area that you might want to avoid. Number 3 on the list is basically the same as what I just said, but it's Rocks Hill, and it is just to the west of the, southwest of Delridge, closer to, the Puget Sound, and it's just an area, again, that hasn't quite cleaned up. I do want to say, in driving through these areas, you'll find some nicer areas, and it's that West Seattle is starting to, climb into these areas, but it just hasn't happened yet. That pocket right there, and the next 2 that we're going to talk about are all right there. If you want to avoid, some of these not as safe and sketchier areas, then probably stay away from this pocket. All right, so the next one, number 2 on the list, is Georgetown. Now, it's closer to I-5. That's one thing I will talk about. If you're talking about homeless, like I mentioned at the beginning, anytime you're by a major freeway, major arterial, on-ramps, off-ramps, that's where you're going to see a lot of the homeless, the bums, or where there's some green spaces. They'll camp out there. They usually stay to themselves. They're not going to bug you too much. But any of these neighborhoods that are tucked in tight, you'll even see top neighborhoods that are closer to these freeways where you'll randomly see, the homeless or the bums, because again, they're by I-5. But Georgetown is one of those. It's right by I-5. It's south of Seattle, again, right in that hot spot. But number 1 on the list, and this is an area that for the past few years with this criteria has not changed, South Park. South Park is literally right in between West Seattle here and Tukwila. It's like the very middle, but it's still in that same pocket. It is, just an area where there's more crime. It's sketchy, hasn't quite cleaned up yet, and it's an area that you definitely want to avoid. So if you're noticing what I talked about, south of Lake Washington, the Renton, the Tukwila, even as far west over to Burien, that whole area down there is gentrifying, cleaning up, but it's not quite there yet. But you can find more affordable homes in that area. And then the next pocket is just south of West Seattle, that area right there. You're just going to find a little bit more sketchy areas. But everything south of Seattle seems to be, in the more, sketchier, worst neighborhood, criteria. And so that is what we do, though. We find the perfect area for you, your family, whoever's coming with you. We absolutely love when people call out and reach out and have these questions. So if you're thinking of moving or relocating to Seattle, Washington, you got to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even send us the Seahawk. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Seattle, Washington. And if this is your first time to this channel, you want to know everything about working, eating, sleeping, playing, and living right here in Seattle, then start now by subscribing to this channel. Tap that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And until that next video, we'll catch you later.